Hello and welcome to Delirium Hour. Thank you for tuning in today. And an extra thank you to those who watched last week's episode. If you haven't, you should definitely check that out as well.
Yeah.
My name is Jonah, and I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Kent and Baron.
Hello. What's up, guys?
I want to mention our new intro, outro, and the graphics on the show that Kent worked so hard on. And
Stop. It's fine. Thank you. You're too kind. You're too kind.
Yeah, I just want to point that out. Today we're going to be talking about what we love about movies. We're not professional critics or anything, and I don't really know anything about film, but I love movies.
Hey, that's a lie. We took a film class our last semester of college, so we do know a thing or two.
But it was like a philosophy of film class.
Hey, that's something. We know a thing or two.
We know a thing
Zeitgeist,
or two.
auteur.
All right, we have some credibility, and that's why we have a YouTube channel with like 5 videos.
That's no credibility.
Yeah, we don't even have 5 videos. This is our 5th one.
Is this our 4th one? 5th. No, this is our 5th one.
5th.
Yeah.
Happy 5th episode to us.
Episode 2 of this podcast format, but episode 5 of Delirium Hour. Let's
Hell
go,
yeah.
dude. Yeah, that's a milestone right there, man. All right.
And since COVID-19 is still something that's deeply affecting all of us, we're going to be going over some things we enjoyed over quarantine and some things that kept us motivated as well.
For sure. Yeah. For viewers who are just listening to our conversation, Jonah was just lagging so much from beginning to like now. Yeah, you're lagging so bad. Hopefully it gets straightened out. But
should we redo it? We're not too far in.
No. We'll keep going. It'll catch up. It'll catch up. Don't worry. It's all good.
At least my audio is okay, right?
Audio's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Does no one look at Jonah's face.
No one wants to see this anyway.
Hey! Don't you say that about yourself, man. All right, let's get this started, man.
All right. I guess I'll start, and I want to give you an idea of some movies I love and why I love them. I'm gonna start with. It's cool because I actually got the Blu-rays of it.
Oh, you do? Oh, I should.
I don't got Blu-rays.
I'll get you some.
Cool.
I owe you a Joker vinyl. I mean, not vinyl.
Oh no, I like too just now.
That would be actually really cool.
Yeah.
I think I saw it on Porter Sounds. Anyway, one of my favorite movies, Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, you
man.
actually got the freaking
That's such
Blu-ray.
a Jonah classic. If you guys know
That's
Jonah,
awesome.
man.
Which is that the
man.
special edition or no?
No, is there a special edition? I don't know.
I think there
But
is.
I want to like this movie and the original as well. I want to say Ex Machina. I don't have the Blu-ray for that.
It's a good one.
I love that movie.
Wow. Another Jonah classic right there.
Yeah, and maybe a classic for all of us.
Yeah, definitely.
Annihilation.
Oh, Annihilation. That's a good one.
That's a good callback to our December. Wait, no, did we talk about Annihilation? No, I think I have it all.
I don't
mixed.
think we did.
I have it all crossed. I'm sorry, but we watched that recently, like within like a year ago.
Yeah,
like a
definitely.
year or
I think
two ago?
Probably last December.
No, it wasn't last December. That sounds so soon, doesn't it?
Last October.
Okay, that sounds right.
Yeah.
It was some time ago.
It's a good one. Who's that actress again?
Which one?
Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
Natalie Portman. Yeah.
One of her best performances.
Agreed,
Yeah.
man. Totally
Oscar
agreed.
Isaac was also really good in that one too.
Oh yeah.
Even though he's only in for like what?
and Ex
15
Machina
minutes.
as well.
Yeah, I love Oscar Isaac in Ex
Who
Machina.
is the director of Annihilation again?
That's
Is it Alex Garland?
It is Alex Garland. Yeah, he
Alex
did both.
Garland.
Yeah.
Yeah, Annihilation and Ex Machina.
Sick. That's why I wanted to bring that up for viewers who aren't aware of that. Those two movies.
I'm not 100% if he did Ex Machina. I think he did though.
No, he
I'm
did.
like-
He did
I'm-
both.
Yeah, I'm like
Ex
90%
Machina
sure.
and Annihilation from the brilliant mind of Alex Garland, right
Yeah.
there.
And also Sunshine.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, Sunshine.
Yeah, Sunshine.
Very
is-
niche.
That's one
Yeah.
for you. That's one for you.
Yeah, that's definitely one on my list.
I think if I had to make up a list of like all-time favorites, I don't know right now.
Yeah.
But for now, those are some top movies for me.
Mm-hmm.
I really love the visual style of the movies.
Yeah.
The music especially. I think
Oh, for
each
sure.
one like really like captures the music captures the visuals. And like what's the script? Blade Runner, I guess, is like a sci-fi noir film,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Ex Machina, I think, is like one of the most perfect like sci-fi thrillers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would for sure categorize that as that.
And Annihilation is like,
What is Annihilation?
what is Annihilation?
Like genre-wise, what is that
I think it's
movie?
also a thriller.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't you guys
Yeah.
think that it can also be considered as like almost sci-fi horror? Like
It's-
borderline sci-fi
Yeah,
horror?
yeah,
you know what I
for
mean?
sure. Yeah.
It's like
It's a very creepy movie, but it's not like super horror in your
it's,
face.
right. It's not like jump scare based, but creepy themes, creepy vibes. I feel like that movie is so special since you brought it up because it kind of exists in this weird area where it's almost a bunch of genres at the same time. You have sci-fi, thriller. There's like horror nuances, right? And
Actually, since you mentioned that,
Right,
makes
yeah.
a really good point because I think a lot of Alex Garland's movies are like that, where you,
Mhm.
I don't know if it's necessarily like the first half of the movie, but you kind of go in thinking it's going to be something, and then it turns into something else.
Oh right, yeah.
Like especially
We
with
need more
Sunshine.
movies from this guy.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, he's working on it.
He has a show, Dev,
Yeah.
Yeah.
on Hulu. For those who want to like get into that, yeah. I've been meaning to get into that.
Yeah,
But,
me too.
Yeah. Annihilation has one of my favorite scenes of all time.
Which scene?
And I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't watched it because I think it's that special.
Uh-huh.
I'm going
Right.
to say The Lighthouse.
Ooh, that's a good
Lighthouse?
one. That's a really good one. It's Lighthouse.
Lighthouse third act. Let's just say it right.
Yeah.
Final act.
Yeah, I'm
right.
pretty
right?
sure I
Okay.
know which
Okay.
scene you're
Yeah.
The
talking
Yeah.
Lighthouse.
Okay.
Those were all sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a very specific taste.
But actually, my favorite like genre to watch is like horror movies.
Right.
hmm
Yeah.
And some of my favorite horror movies would probably be like Hereditary.
It's a good
Mhm.
one.
That's a
Yeah.
really recent favorite. It Follows. I really love that movie.
It Follows is really good too.
You're hitting like 2 for 2 for like some of my favorite horror movies as well.
Yeah.
Like It Follows, Hereditary.
Mm-hmm.
It's both really good slow burn horrors, you know? Like that's kind of like the thing to do right now. Slow burn
Mhm.
horror. But sorry to cut you off, but you
that's
can
cool.
go on.
And then
What's
like
up?
just one more that kind of just still sticks with me. The Ritual.
The Ritual.
Oh man.
That one's really good.
Like it's not like the best movie out there, but something about it just really
Yeah.
is really awesome.
That's
mean,
a good one.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think for me it's almost like a classic too.
Yeah,
Like it's
when-
nothing too special, but like when you watch it, it's just a wild ride.
It was a good time all the way
Yeah,
through.
no, definitely a good time. That's how I describe it too.
Yeah, wouldn't you guys agree that it's like a Netflix like hidden gem?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I could say
Like,
that.
It's
And
like yeah.
You spend so much of your time on Netflix, like wasting your time,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then
Like,
you
you're
get gems
scrolling
like
all
this.
those. Right. There you go. Yeah, I was so pleasantly surprised from like The Ritual. Like it's not something that you would think would be amazing because I think it is Netflix produced, right? But it's like it's a cult classic for those who know it. I feel, and I think within the horror
Yeah.
community, like it's like people really like that one. It's a popular one.
Because without spoiling it too, I think there's some like evidently really memorable scenes. I think within like just the genre of horror that I could say are, I don't know, exemplified in that movie.
Right. Yeah.
Because even though that movie has a lot of like tropes where you think, oh, you know, I've seen this before, I know it's gonna happen. Like it does surprise you a lot.
It does.
Like, oh man, like without revealing it, I guess like the reveal too of like the maybe end of beginning of
had
the third act.
a lot of horror genres into one.
Yeah.
It
too.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Hey, that's a strong recommendation for those who are Netflix surfing. You know, you're kind of in the mood for a horror movie that's not like, you know, blow your mind scary.
Yeah.
That's actually like has some good
There
substance.
are some parts that really creep me out. though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a horror
If you
movie.
do get scared of
Has to.
horror movies, though, you could use Netflix Party and watch it with a friend or
Yeah.
multiple friends.
Strong
Perfect.
recommendation on that one.
Perfect for these
sure.
times and everything.
Yeah.
I love it. So, from those movies that you listed, Jonah, like, what do you like about them? I guess more specifically, they're all common in the realm of sci-fi. And I guess, why does sci-fi, I guess, entice you? You know what I mean? And horror, I guess, like horror, sci-fi, kind of like those things. Like, what makes those topics and genres so alluring for you?
Well, horror, like, there's something sort of therapeutic about it. What do you guys think? At least for me, there's something therapeutic about
I
watching
agree.
something really scary.
I think you need a therapist.
I had some before.
You got some issues, fam. I'm just joking, though.
I know. I know there's like some science behind it where it's like it's kind of like riding a roller coaster,
Right. Yeah.
and then you just feel good like when you're done.
Yeah. No, I totally, I
That's not
totally agree,
guaranteed, though.
man. Yeah. I mean, our channel, you know, like we always want to say that we're like film, media, and all those like, because we really are, between the three of us. We do watch a lot of media, TV shows, movies, you know, whatnot, et cetera, et cetera. But I think a big basis, a big kind of like framework when we first started this whole thing is because was the common factor that we all loved horror, right?
Yeah.
So I think all three of us really understand why horror is so
We're the
enticing
go-to
to us.
guys when you want to go watch a horror movie.
Right, there
Yeah.
you go.
I think there was a point in our lives where almost every good horror movie that came out, like we'd be dying to catch it.
we'd be on it, man.
Yeah, and especially
that.
like the fact that we love watching movies in theaters too. Like it's such an experience.
Yeah,
I know, like that's probably why we did get this group started.
yeah, man.
Even though obviously, you know, we're a group out of this, but
Man,
that's
I
where the
remember
three of us connected.
when Hereditary came out, it was like one of the funniest experiences.
No, I remember.
Me,
Okay,
Ken and
Here,
I
wait,
didn't even
before
really-
you guys say it, let me tell you from my point of view.
all right. Tell him,
I didn't know much about the movie, but I remember after you guys watched it, you both came over and were like, I can't sleep. Like, I don't know what to do. And you guys just sat there and we watched like happy YouTube videos or
Yeah.
something.
We watched stuff to like de-escalate ourselves
Yeah,
after
yeah.
that traumatic
It was
experience.
hours,
Dude, it was
too. You guys
so-
were there for like a while.
It was traumatic, man.
You don't know the half of it, Baron. Like, you don't know what happened or what transpired. Like,
Dude, when you watch
before we
when
we
you
came
watch
over
it
your house.
in like a theater and you're just in that immense like thick
Yeah.
atmosphere, it's scary.
it's a whole new ballpark, man.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that, like, you know, between the three of us, we watch a lot of horror movies. I mean, I
Right.
would say I don't scare easily, right? But there are certain things that kind of like affect you more, that get under your skin, that's specific to each person. And I'm gonna say Hereditary really got under my skin, really got under Jonah's skin. It left its mark. I would say
I
that
think
for sure.
in the genre, Hereditary is just like no other movie. Even
Oh,
Midsummer
yeah.
too, but I think Hereditary is still top dog. If anybody ever
Yeah.
asked for like a horror recommendation, where they're like, you know, I'm a pretty big fan of horror. I watch a lot of horror movies. I don't scare easily. I would say Hereditary is gonna scare the hell out of you.
You know what? I'm gonna disagree.
Okay.
Or not disagreeing, but I'm gonna add something to kind of like food, you know, for some food for thought. But I remember when I was still going to taking classes, I was in this one philosophy course, and I had a friend next to me. It was after like spring break or winter break, and we were asking each other what we did over break, and we both watched Hereditary. And before I got an answer, she was like, "Yeah, that movie wasn't scary at all. It was kind of a joke." And then I looked at her, and I had like the bead of sweat coming down from my forehead, and I was just yeah, man, yeah, child's play.
No, I've actually heard that too, and it's kind of funny because I wish I could put myself in that mental space where I don't know if it's necessarily the fact that like they don't see the horror aspect. Well, okay. For me, I would say what scares me the most is how plausible the situation is in that movie. I don't know, like I do kind of want to talk about plot a little bit, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone that hasn't watched it yet.
I think we can at least say that it's just rooted in realism, or kind of like rooted in like family dynamics.
Yeah, no,
like,
for sure.
yeah,
Okay,
right?
Good
In a
drama
broad-
always drives a better horror story.
Right. Yeah.
It does, and especially like relatable plot lines
Exactly.
definitely feel like it could happen in your life.
Right.
And I think the family aspect for me is why I feel like it's true horror,
Dude.
because there's a lot of relevance in there. There's like family arguments. There's like that love-hate relationship with the parents and the kids, you know. And after like some traumatic events happen, it's just you can't really deal with it. There's no healthy way to deal with like traumatic
No,
experience.
man. Yeah.
you go to a cult, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, we said it before, but like we mentioned the whole therapist, and I'm like, yeah, if you're an anxious person or you need therapy,
Yeah.
I would say that movie, yeah, it gets to you. It gets to you. Like, oh yeah, man.
I just want to throw out some honorable mentions for like maybe like the scariest movies to me that I've seen.
okay.
And Ju-on, the original Japanese Grudge.
I still haven't watched that.
I'm scared of that one.
I'm scared of that movie.
Yeah, it freaks me out, man.
The Ring, the original Japanese version as well.
I'm sensing a theme.
The Japanese, man.
Japanese horror aesthetic is just whole nother ballpark, man.
Yeah. And then The Exorcist.
Okay.
Which
I still haven't
haven't
watched that.
I still haven't rewatched since I was a kid.
Rewatch it. It's not that
I think
scary.
we should revisit it. That's a great, that
I'm
would be
just
nice.
I was scarred. That was like one of my I'm still scarred, man. But I really do want to rewatch it maybe with you guys.
Yeah.
It's a horror classic. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. That's the thing. Like, I don't want to go on a tangent for too long, but just because you mentioned it, I watched like the Evil Dead, the original one, like recently, right? And what that came out like the 80s, 70s, maybe. I don't know, something kind of like 70s or 80s.
I want to say 80s.
I want to
but
say
I could be
80s
wrong.
too. Yeah, but like movies like that, like back then, like the still images of like that girl in the cellar, like in all the pop scare games
Yeah,
and everything,
man.
that would freak you
Yeah.
out, right? But you go and watch that movie again in these modern times, it is hilarious. It's hilarious, but it's still a fun time, and you just know
Yeah.
like it had its impact in the horror history, in the horror game, that like it's still enjoyable, but it is not scary. And I think The Exorcist is probably like that. I think I haven't watched it in a while too, but
Yeah,
got
we've
it.
probably seen like so much more stuff now that it's like
oh yeah.
That's kind
whatever.
of funny because earlier we just talked about how some people don't view Hereditary as like that scary.
Mhm.
And if I look back at like I guess our like less scary movies or like least enticing, there's been some hilarious ones. And I
Oh,
know
yeah.
like some people genuinely get scared. One of
Yeah,
them
man.
was probably the Lady in Black.
Oh,
Second
dude.
one?
Number one comedy of
man.
the year, man.
Yeah.
Number
I
one
remember when
comedy.
we watched it, Ken.
Woman in Black.
Woman
Oh,
in
sorry, the
Black.
Woman in Black. Yeah, the Woman in Black.
1 and
2.
2. But
I
2,
didn't watch 1.
two is
but
hilarious.
2 was hilarious. Like,
is
2,
hilarious.
I know, at least in the theater we were watching in, a lot of people were genuinely scared. Like, the people around us were like, "Ah," but we were just laughing the whole time. I don't know.
Yeah, that
don't
movie. Only Baron and I watched. Where Baron and I were in the same theater watching that movie,
Yeah.
and we were just the two annoying guys, just like cracking jokes at every single scene. I bet like
I mean,
the girl.
we were being respectful, but some of those scenes,
No,
like, I know
no,
we were
man.
dying.
When
I
you
was-
watch enough horror movies, like like the bad ones just are so funny.
Yeah.
When a horror becomes comedy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
to the horror buff, you know? Oh yeah.
But then way
Totally.
past that, there's movies like The Nun where you watch it and you're just like, I just want to vomit.
That movie's a
Like-
joke.
Yeah, this is like so, like such a disgusting waste of my time.
Disgusting, dude. Blech.
What happened to the Conjuring verse?
They're coming back. They're doing another one.
Yeah. It got postponed to next year though. I
Yeah.
think. Mhm.
Yeah.
Conjuring 3.
Conjuring though, the first time we watched Conjuring, or at least I don't remember if I watched it with you guys. No, we did. We watched it in theaters.
Mhm.
Wait, I remember now. Never mind. It was scary, but then we had a certain somebody in the theater with us spoiling every single jump scare.
Oh man, that guy.
Oh man.
That guy. Oh, I know who exactly you're talking
Yeah.
about. Dude, you wouldn't shut up about him or what happened, what transpired between you two for like the next 3 days.
Dude, I was like, okay, I was trying to enjoy the movie, and I sat there. I'm like, ooh, wow, this is pretty good. You know, really scary.
Oh, she's gonna be up there.
And then, yeah, they whisper in my ear. They're like, there's going to be a jump scare around the next corner. And I'm like, dude, come on. And then later on, there's like that one scene where, like, the girl disappears, right? And then he's
Right.
like, she's on top of the wardrobe. And I'm like, dude.
Like who does that, man?
Hey,
All right.
screw
well,
that guy.
I want to get back to Ken's question earlier of
Right. Oh, I'm so sorry.
what really draws me to the movies I gravitate towards and why I love them. And I think what I love the most about movies are the deeper themes that they all convey. Like, I still like to watch movies to just be entertained, but movies that really go deeper than the surface, like that,
Yeah.
those ones are the ones that you remember more.
Yeah,
At least with the three you picked, those are really, I guess, thematically striking movies.
yeah.
If that's the right term.
Yeah.
Yeah, and philosophically too. Those movies get you thinking.
I don't think there are mainstream movies either, which kind of like goes with what you kind of said. Like there are
Yeah,
movies that
that's true.
entertain. Like, you kind of go just kind of like it's the flick to watch for fun, and there's like the ones that are like striking,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Like, what's really interesting is that not in just like movies, I guess, but since we're talking about movies, like, but just when they talk about humanity and like what makes us human, like
Mhm.
those are the most interesting. And like a good horror movie or sci-fi movie or a horror sci-fi movie, which are usually like so awesome.
Oh yeah.
They tell like the best stories that like this really touch you.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I think, like as individuals, you're just like one person, but like all together collectively, as like the human collective,
Mm-hmm.
we're just like one body trying to survive. And I think film is just like one of these avenues of art where
Yeah.
you can express yourself and hope for someone else to get that emotion, and
Yeah.
I think that's how we like truly communicate with each other.
Right. You might have missed it, but I was jazz clapping,
Yeah.
jazz snapping, and that was like a tiny bongo because I totally hear you, and I totally agree with you. Yeah, man.
I never really like thought about movies like that much like that,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
like when we took our philosophy of film class,
Right.
like those are like what kind of really got me loving movies even more.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to take that class. It might be really enlightening.
It was a hard class. Like I think Jonah and I did put in some
Oh yeah, I
work,
remember how much you guys were struggling.
some late nights studying, but yeah, I think
It was one of the most fun classes.
fun and yeah, and like we were most like, when you take a class and you actually care about the subject,
Mhm.
and it just like impacts you so much more than
Yeah.
rather if you were taking like stats, but you're like,
Like
a
the
what
philosophy
thing,
of religion
different
class I
major.
had a couple semesters ago.
Right, man.
That one was really enlightening.
Those are the best ones. And if it's
Yeah.
challenging, it's kind of even better because I feel like
Yeah.
you put in your own work, you put in your own time.
I'll just always remember that really long paper we had to do right before Coachella.
Oh man, the grind that night, the grind was so real. Like I didn't even sleep a peep, man. Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. I hear you on all like the movie. Like I think I'm sure Baron and I share the exact like very similar, I guess, opinions about the allure of movies and why we're so into them and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Baron, why don't you elaborate on what you think?
On why I like movies?
I guess yeah, just like give
Yeah.
us your spin, man.
Well, I think Jonah said it pretty well. But for
Yeah.
me, movies are an escape, and that's why I like them. Because if anything, like I learn from a lot of things, like whatever happens, like internet, media, all that stuff. But for me, movies are all about like lessons.
Right.
And if I were to talk about like a movie like Parasite, right? The reason why I would love a movie like that is because it has so much relevance to like the world we are in today, where it has the like class dynamic that it's like giving the metaphor of, and it also gives you like a little bit of perspective.
Yeah.
That's what I think is most valuable to me about movies, because in real life, like what, you live in your own house, you do your own things, you have your own job, right? You don't really get a taste of how other people live and how the rest of the world looks at each other. And when you look at a movie, it gives you a little bit of like insight into how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Just like with the example of Parasite, you see how the rich live, and it's so vastly different than how the poor live in that movie. And even though it's based in, Korea, obviously that has a lot of like similarities with the US today. And especially right now too, with the pandemic, there's a lot of class divide, and I think that divide just keeps expanding because now the people that don't have the ability to work and the opportunity to work can't work. And the rich, they just keep getting richer. Like stocks have been going up and up, and there's not really much that the poor can do to jump into that market, I guess. But the rich, you know, when they're already in that game, it's just more money.
Man, in that
Yeah.
case, you can really see that art often imitates life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like these movies like Parasite and what you just said, is everything that you said, like the correlation between that movie and how it
Yeah.
applies to now is just, it's a reason to really enjoy movies because it's insight and
For sure.
for those characters, but also kind of like the directors, like what they kind of think about everything too.
Yeah. It's nice
Yeah.
to know, like, because with Bong Joon-ho, when he talks about Parasite, he doesn't really talk about it as like, oh, I made this movie to put my name on the market or like, you know, to be the best ever, right? He says, I made this movie because, you know, it's just something I feel is important to talk about.
Yeah.
And even then, like, coincidentally, Parasite came out during the 100th anniversary of cinema in Korea.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
It's a pretty big coincidence. But
That's
even
pretty
then,
cool.
he's like, you know, when
Such
everyone's
a big
congratulating
movie.
him for it,
Yeah.
he's just saying, you know, like I didn't do that with, you know, the anniversary in mind. I did it because, you know, it's important. And I'm not too sure if this is exactly what he said, but he mentioned that this issue is prevalent in Korea, you know, where you have this class divide. And with the fact that Parasite won for Film of the Year,
Crazy.
I think it goes to show where the people that were kind of conflicted about it, and they were saying, you know what, it's a Korean film. Like, I don't understand why this film is beating out so and so and so and so, right? I think it's those people that don't have that perspective about movies, where they don't look at it as a work of art that has social relevance and
Like that movie really had like the most to say.
yeah, right? Without really saying it. Like, if you don't analyze the movie, you can just see it as, oh, it's a little crime film, and you know, you have a little bit of horror elements, and you have a little bit of comedy, but it's so much more than that. And I think the people that can really appreciate that in film are the most, I guess, I would say, like, get the most reward out of film.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
As
Totally
opposed to
agree.
just watching it for watching it, you know? Because you can do that to any movie.
Right. Yeah. That's like a good look into like seeing the layers of film and what it can like benefit you, you know,
Yeah.
as you know, you in your role as the audience and like receiving this motion picture with this story that just connects to just so many different things. And when you're like a film, or you know, you don't have to be a film buff, but when you're
Yeah.
into film, that's something that I think, you know, like us three, we really like and we watch that and we pick up on that and everything.
Yeah,
And that's what
very
makes it
true.
so much more enjoyable because it's
I
not
would
just like a
say-
popcorn flick.
Films are like onions. Like, you know how they
Yeah.
have layers? Some people just peel the onion, but we take a bite out of the onion.
We
Right.
caramelize it.
Yeah,
we,
let me tell
we
you guys.
caramelize it, we eat it with some burgers, you know?
Over here at Delirium Hour, we bite our onions.
We bite our
tagline.
onions.
Movies are like onions, and we bite our
Yeah.
onions.
Don't peel the onions, man. Don't peel the
Don't
films.
peel it. Just like a big old bite.
the films. Yeah.
I hear you, man.
So Baron, what are some like one of your favorite movies?
I would say, let's say, Interstellar.
Yeah.
Bro,
Baron classic.
Interstellar is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah,
I
man.
can't get bored of watching it, even though it's 3 hours. Every time I watch it, I see something new, and it gets me thinking again. Because if you guys don't know me, and most of you guys don't, I'm a pretty big space guy.
Yeah,
Because
we know.
if I wanted to get, you know, a little bit of metaphor into it, I always look to the stars. You know, I'm an optimistic guy. I always want to imagine that humans aren't gonna die on Earth. You know,
Okay,
like with
yeah.
people like Elon Musk leading the way, I think we'll be able to have space travel. We'll be able to have
Mhm.
success on other planets.
Yeah.
But with my top movies, I could see a lot of similarities between them. Just off the top of my head, I could say Interstellar, Sunshine, which is another Alex Garland classic, and a little bit of Ad Astra. Ad Astra's been one of my recent favorites. I need to give it
Nice.
another rewatch because
Man.
I've only watched it like twice.
Hmm.
What are you saying,
I
Jonah?
think a person's favorite movies just really you can really see
Right.
those movies
Yeah.
and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and vice
yeah.
versa.
Like what they're into, what they're about. Like, yeah,
Right.
it's really awesome to listen to you tell us about your favorite movies. Even though I know like half of them already. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Regardless, still very insightful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to like kind of back myself into a hole and say I only watch space movies, but if I wanted to talk about the most reward I've gotten out of watching movies, I would say it's space movies. I don't know why.
I really
Right
feel
on.
you on those movie choices though.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Right on, dude.
Yeah, but more recent classics I could say were like Palm Springs. Palm
Dude,
Springs is a good one, man. I don't think a lot of people talk about that enough.
it's a sleeper.
Yeah,
It's a sleeper.
that's a classic because philosophy is just so important to me, and that
Right.
movie is pretty philosophical, dude. A lot of people don't like catch on to that. I don't want to say a lot of people. I'm sure a good amount of people do.
Yeah, man.
My honest opinion, I didn't enjoy it that much.
All right,
You know
Jonah.
what?
You know
It's
what?
okay.
Let's end
It's
this
all
call
right.
and we'll redo it with just me and Kent.
Just
You didn't like the movie, Jonah, or
It was
what's your
okay.
opinion on Palm Springs? Let me ask you that.
Whatever, man. It's because you didn't watch How I Met Your Mother, so
Yeah,
Kristen
dude,
Milioti
come
has
on, man.
no connection to you, man.
Maybe that's why.
Wait, stop.
But maybe I see it with a more unbiased view.
Oh my god.
Okay,
you're
so what's your
right.
unbiased view of Palm Springs?
I'm biased.
It was just okay.
Dude,
But
okay.
I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like I mean it just didn't hit me as much as it hit you guys in like the right
well,
spots.
maybe you just don't like Andy Samberg either, man. Because
It's all
that's a
good.
winning.
I love him
combo.
as Jake Peralta.
Only as
shout out,
Jake Peralta.
Shout out Jake Peralta from Brooklyn
Yeah,
Nine-Nine.
shout out Jake Peralta.
Yeah. Hey, Jonah, I want to say I respect the fact that you have bad taste.
I knew you were gonna say that. Like every time you come off as like,
I respect
Whatever.
that.
Jonah, I want
Sometimes
you to know.
shitty movies are just
It's okay,
fun.
dude. It's okay if you're a bad film buff or like if you hate movies, man.
this
Don't worry
video-
about it.
There
This
has to be
video's
one of us has to be bad.
One of us has to be bad. I mean,
Yeah, it's
preferably we'd all be good.
Yeah.
It's me.
And this video is just gonna turn into like just us blaming each other for each other's movie taste. I respect that. Okay, you know what? I truly respect that. I recognize it wasn't the most
I
amazing
semi-respect
Oscar
that.
movie ever, but it was still quite enjoyable. I mean, J.K.
Alright.
Simmons, man.
But you like Child's Play, the remake.
Yeah, I have my strong opinions. Hey, that's the fun part about movies, man. I think we can all disagree, but it's kind of like we all touched upon it, right? Like
Yeah.
movies hit everyone like in a different way, and like our own standards, our own critiques, what makes movies good in our
Mhm.
eyes, is kind of different for all of us.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
for real though, if you like a movie, like just like it and don't let anyone like tell you
Yeah,
otherwise.
man. Screw that,
Yeah.
dude. I mean, if we all agree on the same thing, this channel would be so boring. So yeah.
That's true. Very,
That's
very
good,
good,
right?
point.
Exactly.
Very astute observation.
Thank you. I've been practicing that all day in the mirror this morning.
All right, so Baron, you listed out some of your favorite movies. What would you say you look for in a good movie?
I think it's kind of funny because as a movie critic, even though I'm not like a critic or anything, I think I can go either way. Like there's some movies where I know I'm adamant like that was a great movie, and some of you guys are like, no, that was complete dirt. Like it was garbage. And there's some
cool.
movies where I think are really good, and you guys are like I don't know, like not. I really couldn't say what my characteristics are of a good movie, but I guess enjoyability is one. Just like enjoyment of
Yeah, if you had a
like
good
I'll
time.
go into a movie, I won't really expect much. I'm not expecting to be wowed or anything.
Mhm.
Like I guess an example would be like Ready Player One. Like for
Mhm.
that, I think it's one of my favorite movies of all time. But for you guys are like, no, it's like I don't want to watch
No,
that.
Jonah was into it, wasn't he?
I like it.
Yeah.
It's one of the very first times you get to see a on-screen Gundam, dude.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. I think for me,
Join
like
the
the
Gundams.
nostalgia aspect is really cool, and
Right.
some movies just hit me with that, because I think, like, I've been watching movies for forever, and even when I just started out watching, like as a kid, there's a lot of movies that were, I guess, really striking to me, but not really, like on the new side, I'd say, like classics, even classics of classics.
Yeah.
So maybe that's kind of why like my tastes are a little bit different. But if we're talking about characteristics, I would say the ability to just like get me thinking. Maybe.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even have to be like philosophical or anything, but if I can somehow relate to the movie, or if I can,
Like if that film essentially like communicates with you.
yeah,
Like leaves this impact on you, right? Like you feel kind of different, like after coming out of like the theater or like your room, you're just kind of like, it left some kind of mark, right?
yeah, I would say so.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
going
And
back
that's
to
always
Palm
gonna be
Springs,
different.
like
Mhm.
with Palm Springs, I think I'm not looking at it as like Oscar material,
Right.
but there's like some really cool aspects where like there's scenes that I think are really funny. Obviously, Andy
Yeah.
Samberg and Kristen
Yeah.
Milioti, they have like a really good chemistry,
Yeah,
which
they
is
do.
also nice to see.
really
'Cause,
do.
romance is
Man, I'm gonna get
interesting to
flamed-
everyone.
I'm gonna get flamed for not watching How I Met Your Mother.
No, it's
Dude, How I Met Your Mother
fine.
is so, I don't know, dude. That's, I think for me and Kent, like those were like that's one of our favorite shows of all time.
Yeah, man.
So maybe that's kind of part of it.
It goes with
But,
what you said. Like How I Met Your Mother like left this impact on me and on
Yeah.
you. I feel like it taught me a lot of stuff, you know, and that's
Same,
why it's
same.
good media. Like it'll just left this impact and everything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that's also why like some people relate more to Friends than they do to How I Met Your
Yeah,
Mother.
yeah.
Like for me, I can't even compare it because I don't really watch Friends.
Yeah.
Like I haven't really given it a good shot. But for How I Met Your Mother, it teaches you so much about like life and like your
relationships.
exactly.
and just
There's
all
it's
that
never
stuff.
gonna be perfect, and there's that kind of mentality these days where people want to rush into something. You know, you think, oh, I judge
Mhm.
myself by the people around me, by social media. If I'm not in a healthy relationship or a long-lasting relationship, then I'm not,
Yeah.
successful or whatever. Like with that show, even though it was a little bit older than you'd think, like when it was created, I wouldn't say social media was a big thing.
Mhm. Yeah.
And social media kind of picked up maybe like halfway or even later in the show. That's when it got big. But
Mhm.
one of the biggest lessons from the show that you can really take away from it was like just wait. You know, if you're someone that really believes in true love and you're like a diehard romantic, then there's always going to be that one person for you. Like if you never
Mhm.
want to settle, if you want to like stay true to your guns, then there's going to be that like light at the end of the tunnel, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like you're going to find that person. But some people, and I'm not trying to say it's a bad thing, like you can easily just jump into any relationship and find happiness. You know, happiness is something that's so valuable to everyone. I wouldn't want
Right on.
anyone not to be happy. But if
Right
you
on.
really want to
Are you
find
happy,
true
Baron?
happiness, yeah, I'm fucking happy. It's like,
I just
Yeah.
wanted to ask you. Just wanted to ask
yeah.
we should have a side channel where where Baron just gives life advice because that was
No, I don't.
that was
I
moving,
don't
man.
wanna do that.
that was moving.
Thanks, man. But yeah, like there's value in waiting, I'd say. Like
Yeah,
there's
man.
that one kind of thing about Ted Mosby that's always been
Shout out
there.
to Ted.
Yeah,
Mhm.
shout out to Ted, man.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
He's always just kind of known that he's gonna be able to find like that person. And it's not even just about the person. I think it's about himself too. Where
Mhm.
like it's hard to remember now. It's been a while since I watched it. But like as an architect too, there's that like looming feeling of failure, I'd say, that
Yeah.
Ted always has. And being an optimistic guy in certain words, I mean, I think there's I wouldn't really describe him as an optimistic guy in the show. There's
I mean,
so many-
he has his moments, and I
Yeah.
think like he's human, so there are times
Exactly,
where
yeah.
it's like it's hard to be Mr. 100% go lucky
Yeah.
optimist.
No, it is hard.
He tries to be for the most part, and I think that's what's
Exactly,
admirable
yeah.
about him, and that's like what the human aspect of his
Right.
character. Yeah,
like not to overanalyze the show too, but like one of his goals was just like to be happily married, I'd say.
Yeah.
And find the love of his life. But it's not really talked about in the show, but I know it would be hard for someone in that position to maybe be around someone like Marshall and Lily, you know?
yeah,
Like they've been like what, lovers since high school, I think. They're like high school sweethearts.
I think so. It's
Yeah.
either
I know they've been in a
college-
relationship for a long time. It could have been college.
Yeah, it's either
And
college.
like they, are basically married on the first episode, right? I think
in the process of getting married, I think like
Yeah.
in the first
Well,
few
I think
episodes,
engaged.
he
engaged at the
proposes.
end of the first episode. Yeah.
Right,
So
yeah.
being someone like Ted, looking at that, you're just like, well, I gotta find that someone. And then what? 12 seasons later,
It's beautiful, man.
he finally finds that someone.
And each week really is becoming a therapy session.
I guess so.
Man.
But bottom line, you should watch How I Met Your Mother, Jonah.
I actually kind of started it.
That's good. How far did you get?
A couple episodes.
Nice, dude.
Couple
Nice.
episodes.
Ted throws a lot of parties for Robin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that. The blue.
Blue horn.
Yeah, it's like a French horn, I think.
Blue French horn. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
For all the How I Met Your Mother fans out there. I want to clarify that we're prior to all this we were talking about movies, but we really mean just kind of all media, shows
Yeah.
included and everything, because we are into kind of like all the various motion pictures out there, whether
Yeah.
they're shows.
We can have a whole
whatever.
episode in what like a movie is, what a film is, what a
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just know that we're talking about the entire
when
umbrella.
people are on TV.
Right? It's not always on TV either, man. Just
Yeah.
all. Yeah, I totally hear you though. Yeah.
Was there anything else you want to talk about, Baron?
I mean, I feel like I've been talking enough. But I think that's mostly it.
Yeah,
Just
I
to
hear ya.
summarize, like what I look for in media or movies is, I guess, relatability.
Yeah.
Because that's when you find like that the show or movie is, I guess, important to humanity. If that makes
I
any
guess
sense.
so.
Like what we said before, Jonah. You were saying like everybody around you is like human. Like we're a collective humanity.
Mhm.
And I think when you see a movie or a show that reminds you of that, that's what I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really look for it,
Yeah.
If I find it in a movie, I'm like, great.
Yeah,
If I don't
yeah.
find it, then, it's just another movie.
Hopefully, it was still entertaining.
Yeah.
That's all you can hope
Yeah.
for. At least entertaining. Yeah.
Alright, cool. How about you, Ken? What are some of your favorite movies? What keeps you watching movies?
You know what? Like hearing you both of you talk, it's really awesome because it's not like I didn't know this, but I obviously relate to what both you guys said. I think when we talk about my favorite movies, I think I've always been a person that's all over the place in terms of my taste, because I think superficially, I do just like being entertained, and the movie's just entertaining. You know what I mean? It's not boring. Like it's just,
Yeah.
It's hard for me to say it's terrible because I think when it comes down to it, sometimes the point of movies is kind of to entertain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
And,
whole business on that.
Exactly, and there's a plethora
Shout
of
out
like,
Hollywood.
shout out Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's a whole plethora of maybe movies that aren't Oscar material, but I think deserves a lot of credit because it's just, I don't know, like maybe I'm just the dumb person in the theater, but I'm the one that's getting a crack out of it. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, do it again. But I think
But no
superficially,
shame in that either.
no, yeah, right.
Yeah.
We talk about like we mentioned it, like Child's Play, the Child's Play reboot. That's a very controversial movie. I don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
But I was just entertained, so I can't say it was garbage. But I think more than anything, going back to what Jonah said
Uh-huh.
about like his interest in sci-fi movies and everything. I think movies is kind of like a way to kind of get into your curiosities, the things that you're into and everything. I think like for me, I'm really into horror, and I think not just like movies that just scare me, but I'm actually into things that are just pertaining to the macabre,
You're just straight up goth, man.
yeah, honestly, like I can
Yeah.
watch a show that's just about vampires or whatever, and they don't have to be scaring anyone, but it's that, I guess what allures
Like,
me is that
I
different
feel you.
yeah, it's that
Yeah.
different world that's just separate from our own. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes life gets a little mundane,
Yeah.
and sometimes you want to escape. Escape is a big thing when it comes to why people watch movies, and I like escaping into different worlds because I get to not live my own for that 1 hour 30 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever you're watching a show or however it is, however long it is.
It's a new adventure.
It's a new
Yeah.
adventure, whether it's horror, whether it's whatever. But just for me, I'm into horror. It's not the only thing I watch, but that's what keeps me going back into the horror genre because I just like feeling immersed into that brand new world that's separate from my own mundane, familiar life.
You need a therapist, Kent?
I need a therapist.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the.
I can recommend one. She
Yeah?
helped out my buddy Elliot on the show, Mr.
Yeah,
Robot.
shout out, Mr. Robot. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go. Krista, right?
Yeah.
Is her name Krista? There you go. And
Man,
then
she was a damn good therapist.
she was a damn good therapist, man.
I mean,
Oh, I mean,
to an extent, like she didn't really help him out.
She did what she could, man.
if
She
you
did
know
what she
the
could.
show,
Okay,
you know
yeah.
what we're talking about.
If you're a therapist for Elliot, I'm pretty sure it's kind of futile. Like there's not
It's,
much you can do.
It's, yeah.
I think the only therapist that Elliot could have would be Darlene.
Yeah, man. Shout out Darlene.
Shout out Darlene.
Mm.
Also, shout out Dominic DePiero while we're at it.
Dominic DiPiero. Yeah, let's go, dude. Dom.
Shout out Angela.
Shout out
You know,
White Rose.
just shout out the entire cast of Mr. Robot, man. That's a good show.
Yeah.
We talked about the last episode. We're talking again. You already know. It's just
Shout out
just means
Leon.
a good show.
Shout out Leon, bro.
Joey
I love
Badass. Let's
Leon.
go.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm
Shout
sorry,
out
Ken.
Sandwich Guy. Okay,
No
sorry.
worries, man. Mr. Robot, good show. But now pertaining to what like Baron said about like meaning, I guess. I think like those are movies that really stick with me the most. I think I told you guys like one of my favorite. It's hard for me to pick one favorite movie, but I think a movie that I always kind of rave about, and I think it's always been a contender for favorite movie. But it's Eternal Sunshine of the
Spotless Mind.
Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And the fun fact,
yeah, dude.
Right.
I love that movie too.
I love that
It's a good
movie because it teaches you so much about love, you know. And I took a philosophy of sex and love class,
Mhm.
and I remember we actually got into a section where we had to watch that movie, and I loved it. And I got so much insight into the movie even more and what the director has to say about relationships, what makes it healthy, what's acceptable and what's not. And I just love, it's like you're learning something and you're just learning kind of almost like stuff about yourself sometimes, because like if you're put into a movie, a scenario where you're just fully immersed and this situation just speaks to your heart, then you can't help but like take everything that's happening to heart and like learn from it and just be affected by it. And I think those are the movies that I love the most and everything. And again, like I can ramble about movies and I think we all can, because we all love movies for different reasons, and a lot of the reasons are the same reasons. But another thing about movies is that it's another art form, and I'll do a callback to our philosophy of film class. There's so much that goes into a film, like color grade, directing, and all that, and I can't help but be excited about just the way someone colors a film, because it all goes towards this singular vision for this like big grand story that they're trying to, I guess, show to the audience and everything plays a role. Like the color grade plays to the mood, plays to the tone. And
Did you talk about that? You still haven't watched La La Land.
okay, man. Okay, man. Get off me.
Yeah, but shout out to like those real auteur directors out there.
Yeah.
That just has so much style in their movies.
Right, man. Like
100%.
I don't want to keep talking because I really believe that you guys hit everything that I wanted to say. But one last more thing is, I guess I want to add, is the technical side of movies. And exactly what Jonas said, auteurs. It is amazing to see these directors or these auteur directors. And for those who don't know, auteur directors are directors who have a very specific style in terms of their film and how they direct and how they just approach cinema as a craft. And you can see like their signature, they have like a signature stamp on their own craft. And it's like looking at a painting.
Yeah.
You know, like you look at Christopher Nolan, he has a
Oh,
style.
for sure.
Quentin
dude.
Tarantino,
Yeah.
he has quite a style that's
Damien Chazelle. Gotta shout
Right.
out my boy, Damien Chazelle.
Let's go,
Alex
dude.
Garland.
Alex
Let's go.
Garland. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like they just have such a stamp, man, and you see it exemplified in each of their movies, and their movies are different, but they have this cohesive touch.
I think that's a good point
awesome.
because it's not even just directors. Like any Roger Deakins film, bro, visually, a Roger Deakins film is gonna just blow your mind.
Right, man. I hear you. I don't remember films by him.
Well, he's a cinematographer.
Okay,
So he
yeah.
did like 1917, Blade
Okay,
Runner
yeah,
2049.
Right, yeah.
He did Fargo. I don't know if you guys watched Fargo, but Fargo's really good.
Heard many
Ben
things about
Affleck.
it.
It's an old one. Wait, Ben
What?
Affleck.
I think
That's
I watched-
Argo.
Guess I haven't seen that movie.
Easy mistake. Fargo,
Yeah.
Argo, Largo, whatever, man.
Yeah. Rango.
Rango, Django.
Django. Nice.
Yeah, but that concludes like what I think I like. That's what makes. I guess to conclude, I like what makes a good film a good film. Okay, if it entertains me, oh yeah, I'm in it. I'm down for it. But the movies are the best is when the storytelling is done in such a, I guess, thoughtful way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I think at the end of the day, like movies are like stories. You know, it's like reading a book. You want it to flow nicely. You don't want things to just happen out of nowhere. And I think those are the best movies where the storytelling is compelling. It's done naturally and it flows and picks up from each scene like in a natural and like comprehensible way, or not comprehensible, but just in like there's a flow to it, and the story's good, and there's a singular vision to this film and this overall message. Those are the best films. And that
You only said one film though. What are your other favorite movies?
other favorite movies. I mean, in terms of, I think I have favorites from different genres, and I always talk
Okay.
about comedies. Man, Tropic Thunder. I don't care what
Tropic
anyone
Thunder,
says.
yeah.
That movie is masterpiece.
That one's
Masterpiece.
It is a masterpiece.
Like
Yeah.
it comes to show that just because you're a comedy doesn't mean it's like the most, or it's like the lowest form of cinema. It's totally
Yeah.
not, man. Like they cared about that film, man. But at the
Yeah.
same time, they just had fun with it, and that's the best part. Tropic Thunder, Inglourious Bastards by Quentin Tarantino. I love that movie. That movie is
Yeah.
just done so well
it's a classic.
to me. Hits me all the right spots. It's funny, but it's like actiony, but in that Quentin Tarantino way, like chef's kiss. But those are some of my favorite movies, and I can list different movies from different genres, but I think you guys kind of get the gist, right? Yeah,
Yeah, it was really awesome to just get that insight from each of us.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was really cool. I like that.
All right, so we didn't get through everything, but that's just how the cookie crumbles.
That's just how it is. That's how the
That's
cookie
just how
crumbles.
that's how the onion peels.
Yeah. Ooh, Delirium, our onion.
Who are you
eaters.
guys?
But well, if
That's
you
how the
made it this
tomato
far-
splats.
Okay.
Tomato.
That's how the
Onions.
toilet paper rolls. I don't know.
We need to brand these items.
right.
All right. So, well, if you made it this far, thank you so much for
Thank
tuning
you.
in and watching
Thank you so
Delirium Hour.
much.
If you liked today's episode, we'd really appreciate it if you press like and subscribe to us. Please leave a comment and give us your thoughts because we'd love to interact with you. Also, follow our Instagram for more regular updates. And
What's
we'll
that
see you
Instagram?
next time.
What's the
Our
Instagram?
Instagram is It's Delirium Hour.
At It's Delirium Hour.
At-
There you go. Don't forget. It's Delirium Hour. One more time. It's Delirium Hour. Cinco.
Cinco.
All right, not the single part, but you got it.
You got it. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
All
thanks
right.
for being here, guys. See you next time.
All right.
See you next time.
Laters. And then do a thumbnail for me so I can like make this easy for me. Cool. All right.